All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Run with the Wind, episode 19.
The Ekiden is starting.
Yes, and Prince will be running the first segment of the race, and we're so proud of him.
Yep.
Followed up by Musa and then the twins.
Right.
But for this first bit, they're going to be setting the pace. They're going to be setting up just what everyone else will be running on.
Right.
And while Prince is our slowest runner that we've got in the crew of the Ste C, I'm very proud of him for being here, and
That's
the fact
right.
that he's going to be putting in like all this effort is just so excited.
Yep. But complications on the horizon. Shindo apparently is sick.
Yeah. We don't know how bad this is going to be.
That's true.
A lot of the cliffhangers that they've done in this show thus far have ended up being ones that aren't that bad. And this one felt really kind of surprising, like out of nowhere. So I would assume that it's not going to be a game-breaking one. However,
hopefully,
I think this is more just set up for why they will definitely not take first place of the Hakone Ekiden.
Oh, sure.
Of course.
Well,
like,
and
there's so many teams out there, but also like lots of other complications could arise.
Yes, and this is also extra motivation for the second half of the people, specifically the two at the end, Kakeru and Haiji, to really need to give it their all in order to maybe make up for time that was lost with the previous runners. But
and that all being said, we've got a race to get into. So without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, the Hakone Ekiden has started.
Yep,
and
we got
got
three sections down.
Our first three runners underway and completed. And I love the way they formatted this.
Oh, it was great.
This honestly felt like I was almost pulled out of my immersion a little bit because I liked the formula so much. In a way that it didn't seem distracting, because I was so enamored by what was going on with Prince and Prince especially.
Right.
Like he's the true underdog of this whole thing there.
Yep.
But then also that moment when Musa just felt it, and he's just I can. Like this atmosphere, this setting, the voices of everyone cheering me on.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Exactly.
I have to go, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he ends up running 2:48 pace.
Yeah.
Because he's just that into it, right? And of course they're like, okay, we need to get him to slow down because he'll burn out.
Right.
And he did. But then he got a second wind, and he still ended
I think what it was also is that he was such a sensitive boy. That when we were going through all the training side of things, he wasn't getting that social, psychological boost from being in a performance. It's like that opposite stage fright thing. So when someone that is a born actor, they were meant
thrive
to
on
own
the
the
stage,
stage exactly.
Own the spotlight.
When they're in rehearsal, it's one thing. But once they feel the eyes of everyone on them, once they hear the cheers of the crowd and the clapping and everything, that feedback, that goes back into your psyche with regards to this in a positive way if you're like Musa. And he's just like, I feed off of that. That's my
jam.
Life force there. I just go. And then he ends up taking 7 spots.
Yeah.
He goes 7 spots ahead from last place.
Oh, man.
Holy shit!
And the last place wasn't like a barely last place,
No, he was definitively in last
Prince
place.
was definitively in last place. He did fantastic. But
and remember, everyone that hit the second lap there,
they did the speed burst.
They immediately went into like a much faster pace.
And who knows? Maybe the reason that Musa was actually able to catch up on a few of them was because they also had similar problems, and he just dealt with it a bit better.
The ones that weren't as good.
Exactly, right.
That makes sense.
So then they burn out a bit faster, and then he's able to just pass them up. But oh man,
this is just so exciting because we're like, wait a minute, they're doing so well here.
Yeah. But
well, what's
Shindo's sick, and he's going to be the last one.
We've got Shindo. Oh, that's going to be brutal. They're probably going to lose like 4 spots on that. But then we also have two of our other slower runners that are still in the wings waiting with King and Nico-chan.
Yep.
So we're gonna hit a lag point, probably.
One of the things that I am very curious about though is with this structure and this formula, I kind of figured that they had to do something like this just because it's, when you're running your part by yourself, right? It's not like in the previous like races and stuff where everyone's running at the same time and then you compare times, right?
Yeah.
So it does feel nicely suited to sort of the end cap for each of the characters because as we're coming to the end of this story, resolve where everyone's at, right? And so now this is a good mechanical way to move through each person one at a time with about 3 per episode. Cool. And then we can see where they're at, right? See the results of the hard work in the physical sense, but then also in how they've grown as a person, right? Yeah. And with Prince, I feel like that one is the most obvious because it was the biggest shift, right?
It was a very big shift.
Yeah, with Musa and just being almost disappearing to this other place,
all the fear,
right?
The nervousness, everything about
just all of a sudden he's there and he's running and he's loving it, right?
Yeah. I love the way he was transported back home, and he's like, "Whoa, oh, I'm free. This is beautiful. I can just fly."
Right.
I love that. I love that so much. So, freaking Prince though. And we're in, obviously, a story that is very influenced by shonen sports manga and anime.
You sure?
And then we have our boy Prince here, who is just the love letter to shonen protagonists, underdogs.
Yep.
Calling out all these shonen protagonists, and we recognize a bunch of them.
Specifically sports ones too.
Yes. Like the Ashida no Joe, starting off with obviously Ippo,
of course. There
Hinata.
Right, yeah. There were some that I thought I recognized, but I wasn't but it was more like by silhouettes or like the name sounding familiar.
The silhouettes more sounded.
Yeah.
Or looked, yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure one of the people from Slam Dunk was in there. But the other thing that just surprised me is Prince watches a lot of anime.
Or reads a lot of manga.
Or reads a lot of manga.
Remember, he's a cultured boy.
That's true. He mostly does seem to read manga, which, that would definitely help him go through things much faster.
A lot faster, that's true.
But, that seemed like he was basically just going through almost every single major, sports anime
or manga,
ever. Out there, like all of the big ones. I'm pretty sure One Outs was in there too. I saw someone with a baseball.
Yeah, with the spiky hair.
Yeah, but my dude, I fear your NE-list. I can imagine it must be extensive, which of course, because your room is literally full of manga. But
he's basically the Dio walking posing meme, but it's him just returning to his manga room.
Right.
I'll be in my bunk.
Yeah. And I'm gonna finish quickly so I can go back to my manga. And then at the end he collapses and of course, Haiji and Kakeru are right there to catch him.
Yep.
But his legs are just trembling.
Right. He
gave it his all.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved so much to see him have that point where he realizes, oh no, I'm being left alone and the crowd is moving on without me. And then it starts to show the flashback stuff where he's being asked, how would you like to be encouraged? And it's like, encourage you this way. And he's like, no. And they cut up the flashbacks, but if you put it all together, basically, he's like, no, that's not how I'd like to be encouraged. I like protagonists and stuff.
Yeah,
but
they're great.
I also like the ones that lead them and support them. I want to be in some ways treated like an athlete. I want you to give tough love to me. I want you to yell at me and basically
tell me how it is.
Yeah. And the way that Haiji then has his line be, well, this is something then you're not going to expect, but okay, if you better crawl your way,
right? If you have to
the relay point,
Yep.
If you must. And it just makes him smile. He's just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'll come there bleeding with my knees all scraped up and my hands
there will be
and
my
legs
theme music playing in the background, or at least in my head,
Right.
Yeah.
Because you guys can't run this race without me.
Yep.
You guys literally will not run this race if I do not cross that line. So damn it, I'm gonna go.
That's right.
I'm gonna go. And it's just so inspiring, and it's also so cool to have him being first.
Yep.
Like,
I know. And we talked about this in the last episode, but it really is like
it means so much. So, Musa ran.
He did.
Musa ran so well, and not only did he run so well that he set up the twins to succeed in a really cool way by bringing them into the pack.
Yep.
So that, well, in a lot of ways, I think this was Haiji maybe big braining this a little bit. Is he'd been studying the meta, because remember, he's a fourth year. So he's watched how in the last 3 years...
How people have done things.
Right,
Yeah.
and that was a very, very interesting bit of commentary that I did not let go by me.
Oh, yeah?
The fact that they said the last 3 years is basically saying every year Haiji has been a uni student.
Right. All those years that he couldn't do it.
Right. And I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, you think you wouldn't be poring over the recordings and everything in addition to watching it live?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was there for all of it.
Yeah.
But I think that was a choice phrase there to set up something with regards to whenever we get our Haiji focus at the end of the Hakone Ekiden.
That is one of those things where like I could see them kind of because this was episode 19, so we've got 3 episodes left, right?
Yep.
And we've got 7 runners left.
Yep.
So I could see it being something where they do 3 and 3 and then like one more, or maybe they break it up towards the end. But with Haiji, since he's his is probably going to be the most
dramatic.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, right?
Yeah, Kakeru's might have a similar aspect of dramatics in that he's going to take a lot more ground than Haiji probably will.
Yeah, like I could see Kakeru and Haiji maybe potentially even like splitting the last episode or something like that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Like I could see that happening, but then at the same time,
I want a bit of a post.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I want an epilogue.
And I could also see Kakeru just getting the same sort of 8-minute section of an episode because he's just that fast. It goes by quickly.
Yeah.
You know, like that could be kind of like a fun meta way to have it organized. But
that would be really cool.
But okay. Then we've got Jota. And I gotta say, Jotaro.
Yeah.
This one hit me like.
So, it was really good.
I love stories about family, and especially about bonds between siblings, right? You know, and how bonds between family in general, right?
Yeah.
Just whatever kind of familial connection it is. But there's something about the idea of when you end up splitting ways, right? Going your separate ways, because that does happen eventually. And that's something that I've been kind of dealing with more recently. With me and Caleb, it's a lot easier because, you know, we run the channel together, so it's, you know, like we're stuck together, right? But with some of our other siblings, especially with like how much time the channel takes and things like that, and just, you know, our lives are taking us in different directions.
And then quarantine.
And then quarantine on top of that, right? Yeah, exactly.
Painful, yeah.
Yeah. The idea of, someone that's so precious to you, but you know what? And the idea of it being a part of your soul.
Yeah. That's real, yeah.
You have to let go of it.
Yep.
Because
they're not your identity.
Right, they're not your identity, and you're different people, and you both want different things, and that's good, right? The idea that you end up going your separate ways, that's good. That's a part of growing up, right? That'll make it so that when you do like hang out and stuff, it means that much more.
Yeah. It's something that parents go through constantly, and it's also something that, you know, I would say the kids don't really get how much it means until they have to do the same thing in some ways with either siblings or just family members in general. And that is that when you say goodbye to your kid as they go out into the world and break off the yoke of dependency, basically.
Right.
And they're like, okay, I'm independent now. They go out and do whatever they're going to do. There's a lot of cultures that I would say handle this better than others, basically, with how there can be this sense of ownership regarding the children. And it is...
breaking those ties.
Yeah, exactly. It is an intentional release. And the fact that Jota literally says in the episode, it's finally time for me to release that precious part of my soul. Not part of me to say goodbye.
Sure.
It's a part of him letting go. Because you can say goodbye, but psychologically hold on to it.
Right.
And it's just going to stretch you out.
Yeah, and it's
just going to cause you pain.
Right. Pain for both, right?
Well, yeah, more pain for you though. Like
right.
way more pain for you.
And I think it's in the situation of like parents and children, I think it's something that is in an absolute sense a stronger
way stronger.
A stronger thing that then is, you're letting go.
Much more so.
But I think it creeps up on you a lot more when you're siblings. Because with the parents, you see them grow up, and because you're changing a lot less than they are, right?
A lot less,
and you see them start to become their own person and need you less and less as they grow up, right? Yeah. But in the case of when you're siblings, especially, I can't imagine what it would be like if you're twins. Where you've been basically doing the same thing as you grow up, right? You know, you've been growing up at about the same pace. If you're different ages, it might be a little bit different, but it's a lot easier for you to just keep going in parallel, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute. Wait, no, there comes that point where we have to split. We are different people.
And I'll just say, one of the things that's been a weird, I would say, it's not at all accurate, but it's just one of those things that I've focused on almost a bit too much, is that when you have two kids in a family, and those two kids are close enough in age, but those are the only kids and stuff, it can really screw up some things psychologically when the first kid breaks off. Because the second kid is, if they're
feels
not
like
mature
they're being
enough,
abandoned, maybe?
Well, right. If they're not mature enough and able to handle it, it can feel like a really rough, like, tearing off, where they didn't intentionally get the opportunity to say, I release you.
Right, because if there's only, like, if there's just the two kids and they're different ages, then the older one might be ready for that, but then the younger one might not be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I almost think in some ways there's, like, this really big benefit from having, and this comes from someone who is in a bigger family, so of course I'm going to say this.
Right.
Well, actually, no, I know some people who think their family is, like, the worst thing ever. So no, if anything, I would just say that more than two kids actually helps a lot, because then you end up very rarely getting into this kind of a situation.
Right.
Here.
Like, there were times growing up, and this is sort of
tangential
anecdote,
but
but there were times growing up where different members of our family, siblings and stuff, would go off to do for different things, whether it was summer jobs or or things or whatever, right?
Just leaving in general.
Just leaving. And it was and
when we were younger.
Not
like adults, like kids.
Like quite a bit younger.
Yeah.
And that was, I remember that being really hard, right? But it was made much easier by the fact that it wasn't all the siblings I had.
It wasn't a part of your soul, in the sense that it is kind of for Jota and Joji here. It was a part of who you were on a day-to-day basis.
It hurt like
in a lot
hell,
of ways. Yeah,
right?
It hurt, but it wasn't.
But there were other siblings that I could kind of like fall back on, right? Whereas I can't imagine what it would be like, one, if you were twins, but also if it was a thing where they were like your only sibling, and it's like, yeah, us against the world. We've been together through thick and thin. Well, and also fought a bunch and whatever. But and then all of a sudden, okay, what happens now?
Yeah, Speaking of which, Hana cheered Jota on, and I gotta say, Jota, I understand the brotherly, not competitive, but also the brotherly, like, bro, like, dude, like that kind of thing. Yes. The funny thing is that what I am almost like, I almost like think there's going to be a different way that happens rather than the Haiji driving Hana ahead of things.
Right.
Bit. Is that you were just the first one on the track, dude.
It's possible, but maybe not.
No. I got you. But if she shows up in the next one there's a very real possibility then that Joji's not going to get this huge boost on it.
Because he told him.
Because he told him basically that this was something that happened. If he had just said nothing.
But on the other hand, maybe him telling that, like, I'm actually like, it's silly. It's silly.
We're going into JoJo territory now.
No. But because
in your next line will
because the two Joe Bros are so silly, right?
Yes.
There's a part of me that wonders how seriously I will be taking their segments of the race. Because in Jota's case, I took it very seriously because of how it started, right? And that hit me deep, right?
Yeah.
But then we have the thing with Hana, and it's like, okay, that's hilarious and great, and I love it, right?
Right.
If I would love to see Joji be like, hold on, what?
No, he looked excited for him.
Well, right, but at the same time, have there be like, I'm not gonna lose to you. Like,
I mean, sure.
Or
yeah,
I don't know. Like,
I got you. But like, the only reason why I think he would really think too much about that is if he did like Hana.
Oh, sure.
And we don't know for certain whether or not they both liked her. Now, it was foreshadowed that there was a very real likelihood that she liked one of them. And this was foreshadowed in a previous bit. And I would say that they both do seem to enjoy her being there. But that would be just the worst, to have it be something where he's like, she didn't cheer me on.
Yeah, just tear going down his face, and then he just slows down. No, that would be awful.
No, that's not going to happen.
No, not going to happen at all. He loves running.
Yeah. If anything, Haiji's like, okay, Hana actually likes Jota. I have to call in a favor with an old friend of mine, and he like finds like a really like attractive girl that he knows, and he's like, I need you to come and cheer somebody on at the Hakone Ekiden. I'll pay you. I just need you to come up to this point.
Wouldn't it be more effective if he knew me beforehand? Good point. All right.
No, not at all. Not at all. If anything, you just need to be able to say his name.
I'm your biggest fan.
Extremely loud, in a very loud way. That's all it is. You'll never have to see him again necessarily. But hey,
he's
a badass running in the Hakone Ekiden.
That's true.
And you have been maybe looking for, someone to get to know. And he is a twin, so that might make it a little bit interesting. But I could totally see Haiji like still in his Griffith mode, like in the week before this. He's planned like all these things to give them little boosts and stuff.
You'll do anything for $20, you say. Okay, well, I need you to cheer someone on.
$20? No, it's probably $100 or something like that. Wake up early and go to traffic-induced like craziness. Actually, that's the other thing. Japan is a crowded place and stuff. How the hell does anyone get around the Hakone Ekiden in a convenient way? Because that's the thing. They still have regular, stuff open, on parallel with everything. We had those helicopter drone views and stuff, and things were still moving along.
Right, and so just keeping this road clear for the race is
right. But then how do you navigate around it to get ahead and stuff?
I'm sure that for everyone else who doesn't care about the race, they're like, this is the...
Make sure we do not,
don't drive
anywhere.
Don't drive on these 2 days, like in this area, because the traffic is just crazy, because everyone else can't use this big road, Yeah,
maybe not. Maybe there's something where there's some kind of, like, police-escorted, like, shuttle system or something.
Possibly.
Where they're like, no, this road isn't even being raced on, but it's entirely shut down for these areas. Because we need to have the runners be able to move around.
Sure, yeah, just for the infrastructure of the race rather than the actual race itself.
Someone could get into a situation where like they need a replacement.
Sure.
So like it's not just that they need to have 3 runners at every point just sitting there, because the people at the 10th spot are going to be there for like 5 hours.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Like we saw with Shindo. Where him and Yuki were still at the train station.
Right. Exactly.
They were still at the subway, just like, oh yeah, no, we'll get there eventually. But it's gonna take them at least an hour or something for each segment.
You know what I think it is also? I'm overestimating at some points the size of Japan.
Oh.
So that's maybe probably the thing, is that it's just that it's not that far. Because really we're talking, what's the full length of the race? And it is a circuit, I believe.
It's 217 kilometers. 135 miles.
So okay, that is actually a decent.
That's pretty big.
That's pretty big.
And if it's round trip, then okay. So 67 miles each way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the race is held for 2 days, so that's another point though.
Yep.
Yeah. But okay.
Okay. Good episode.
Good stuff. I want more of this. I want this formula almost exactly repeated with Joji, Shindo, and Yuki.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because Shindo's sick, and then Yuki, I feel like that the dynamic between the two of them, I want to see it happen in the race.
Same.
Yeah.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. And also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yes, if any that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.